losing them.
It really doesn't matter because, like nobody's watching in the first 30 seconds anyway. They'll come along later.
Fire away, whatever. Go live.
We're live, man. We're live.
Oh, beautiful.
Welcome to the hot mess that is the BitcoinSVtrain live stream today. It's me and Kurt Wuckert Jr. Can you tell us apart? We have to do live streams together because people say that they think we're the same person if we don't.
Yeah, it's proof.
Kurt's the guy in color. There you go. And he's brought it's Father and Son Day in the Kurt household.
I have RoninAtlas Wuckert the First here. He's just as excited about Genesis as everybody else is.
Excellent.
Actually, he's very excited about my microphone more than anything.
So if you're a Kurt Wuckert Jr., was there any temptation to call him like Kurt Wuckert the Third or Kurt Wuckert Jr.?
I was pro Kurt Wuckert the Third. The wife nixed it.
Really?
So she won that one.
We see what happened with my son is like he was alive for 24 hours and we still hadn't decided on the name yet. And it was getting a bit embarrassing in the hospital there with just like baby Miashta written on the crib, and my wife's like, we got to do something about this. He needs a name. So I just I pulled a quickie out and gave it to him.
That's great. What did you have? Did you have a couple you were fighting over, or was it just like?
Yeah, we had a short list. In Japan, there's all these extra issues too because you've got which character you're going to use for the name and what meaning that has and what that's going to.
Okay, sure.
Because I think parents often don't really consider what the implications of a name are later in life. There's names come with expectations. So I think calling your kid RoninAtlas, I mean it comes with a bit of baggage, let's say.
It does. It's heavy. I tell everybody, you know what? I wanted him to rise to the occasion of that name. So hopefully he does. So far, he seems like he's got all the energy that he needs. But we'll see.
There's something I've always wondered: is it Atlas as in Atlas shrugged, or is it Atlas as in carries the weight of the world on his shoulders?
I mean it's all. I think Atlas, as far as I'm aware, the first use of Atlas was the Titan, the Greek character. But it's as a character, the Atlas Mountains are named after him. Mm-hmm. The Atlantic Ocean, the city of Atlantis, those are all discoveries of Atlas the Titan. So it's it is a name of great travel. And Atlas Shrugged, yes, is part of it. I'm certainly a libertarian and a guy who likes good books, but that's who that is named after as well. It's the weight of the world is on the shoulders of Atlas, so he's got a lot to bear.
I just noticed half of Atlas's face, Ronin's face there. It's just to clarify, everyone. It's really early in the morning for me here, so it's I just woke up and Kurt's like, let's do a live stream now. So I flung everything into place as quickly as possible. That's why I'm in glorious monochrome and reverse too, because that's what my crap looks like when I don't set it up properly.
Beautiful. Dear kitty, take the child. And would you like to say hi to the world?
That's a beautiful picture.
All right. Wife says no.
So anyway, we're talking Genesis here today. That is the reason why we're here. It's the most anticipated, non-contentious fork in Bitcoin history.
Absolutely.
And why is that? Why is
well,
everyone so excited about this thing?
I think the beauty of it, my favorite part of it is exactly that. We're no longer arguing about the protocol, and I hope to God we never get there again. Mm. But that's really the point. That's the idea of the locked protocol, and people act like that's an impossibility or it's somehow irresponsible. But locking the protocol gives us exactly that. We set the protocol in stone, and now we see debates over business, and that's actually I think the most unique thing in the BSV space is you have the wallet providers arguing about you're not really doing SPV right, and you're not really doing all that, but these things are it's the second layer. We agree on the foundation finally.
We
So
do.
yeah, so that kind of thing, like the unanimous excitement about Genesis in the BSV community is inspiring.
I mean, it seems kind of a luxury to me to be arguing about things like, how well we're using SPV when in the past it was like, oh god, I'm going to lose half my friends as a result of it. I can't
You're
imagine
right.
losing half my friends over, like SPV or,
Well, and that's well, shoot. I mean, we've I think we've been around about the same amount of time. I'm like a 2012, 2013 guy. So,
mhm.
when did you get into Bitcoin again, John?
Yeah, around the same time, 2012, 2013. I think I
Okay.
probably started reading about it around 2013. That's when I started researching, but it was a good
Nice.
year before I got into it. Like I started going to the meetups and I actually, got a wallet and held coins and everything.
Cool.
I
Well,
would have
yeah.
got into it
So
a lot quicker, but it's like yeah, I got my first wallet and I was like, all right, I got my credit card and like I'm gonna buy Bitcoin. You could actually buy Bitcoin at that time,
sure.
and I looked on about three different exchanges and you couldn't use credit cards. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to buy one then? Because I couldn't think of any other way to make a purchase online. And
Sure.
then there was all that stuff about like KYC and linking your bank account, and I'm just like, screw that.
Yeah.
So
I
I
think
never bothered.
my first experience was there was a time when I was sending money to a bank in somewhere in Eastern Europe. I want to say it was Kazakhstan or Estonia or something, and you'd wire money and you'd get bitcoins in 36 hours or whatever it was. But yeah,
Well,
but it's
I was going to say
gone.
we were kind of lucky, or it seemed lucky at the time, because we had Mount Gox right here in Tokyo, so it was only a local bank transfer. I think
Nice.
if I had to do the international thing, like I would never have bothered.
It was weird. I mean, my banker was super freaked out. Like
Yeah,
he
I
got
bet.
the
People.
warnings, like you realize if you send this, like we can't get this back, right?
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
But then bitcoins were like only $60 or something at the time, or less.
Yeah, it was cheap. I remember. So in 2012, I started getting people would pay me to do local thing. I owned a printing company, so occasionally if somebody was like, "Hey, I need some posters, I'll pay you in Bitcoin," like that's fine. But it wasn't until 2013 that I started buying.
Hmm.
And when I was buying, they were between like 200 and 300 at first, and then we got the dip after the 2014 big bull market. And then I don't know if I ever bought a Bitcoin under $100.
Right.
I may have, but I'd have to check. I'd have to go do some serious accounting to figure that out. But
Yeah.
I think yeah, like 150 ish. Like I remember stuff like that, but I don't remember like the $50 or $60 bitcoins that were floating out there.
I think the price had just shot up from like $60 to 100 the week before I got my first one, and I was like, damn it, I got it right at the top.
Missed it. Yeah, the
Yeah.
end of the revolution.
I mean, the irony was, we lost it all on Mt. Gox anyway, so it wouldn't have really mattered what I paid for it.
Sure. Yeah, it's what, luckily it's funny. I was going through old Facebook posts. I did a search filter and was looking, and I called the Mount Gox collapse a couple weeks before it happened.
Right.
So again, in 2013, I was like, "Hey guys, I think there's some weird stuff going on at this place. Like, if you got money in Mount Gox, get it out of there." And everybody's like, "Bitcoins are crap, anyways, man. Get a
Well,
real job."
I
Okay,
mean, where's the lie? It was,
right? Yeah, at the time, sure.
yeah.
I am often called foolish, but it's usually because I'm early.
Yeah, yeah. I think everything I've made in lucky gains over the years in Bitcoin, I've also lost in stupid mistakes. So,
Yeah, I've definitely like I've accidentally burned keys. I have straight up been robbed by just pooling my money with the wrong people and
mm.
and stuff like
Right.
that. So
Yeah,
like
at the
I've
time, sure.
definitely lost some bitcoins.
All right. I finally found a way to actually watch this stream while I'm
Oh,
recording it.
beautiful.
I was worried I was going to open it up in the wrong window, and then I just get like endless recursion.
Yeah, that's no good. How do we look?
Yeah, we look pretty good, I think. You look good anyway. You're all in color and you're the right way around. I'm the one who's
That's
black and white and flipped.
so.
Flip.
Is black and white a new thing for you, or is it just because of the time of day for you?
No, I have a really nice camera that I use for doing like proper interviews, and then I have a webcam that I use when I
Oh, okay,
because
perfect.
I use a green screen for the studio, and
Yeah,
if the camera's in color, it's like really glaringly green. And for some reason,
okay.
I just thought better to have it in black and white. Also, I'm like old and wrinkly, and black and white just it's more atmospheric.
Fair enough. All right, I
So
like it.
what's actually going to happen with this with the Genesis upgrade? I mean, I think everyone's getting excited and looking at the countdown, but
Hmm.
there's not going to be any immediate effect at all, is there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not going to be a. I don't. Nobody's wallets are going to get turbocharged. Nobody's going to get any new coins or anything like that. But I think actually best case scenario, nothing happens. Right, like the perceptibility of everything in Bitcoin SV should be that it just works.
Mm.
And we've seen this again and again. I mentioned earlier on Twitter, like, hey, the BitMEX research Twitter is going to be lit today because they're going to start. It's they hard forked, they split, they blah 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 blah. The FUD, the misunderstanding. But even when we had the big, the 6 block reorganization about 6 months ago, the user experience is the same. It is consistent. You have the if I send you a penny, you receive a penny on the other side within about 2 seconds, and it's all over. We don't have to look for it in the mempool and did I put the right amount of fees. None of that is going to happen. So
Yeah.
I believe Genesis will be very much the same way. It will be easier for me to send you 50,000 microtransactions as opposed to earlier in the day. I would have started to push my limits at 30,000 or something like that. Numbers are not scientific, by the way, but yeah, more capacity for the people that are able to do higher level programming. There's a whole bunch of new stuff with script is opened up. The language of the script is more grammatically consistent, so that programmers don't have to look up. Okay, how am I supposed to interface with this code and this code and this code?
Yeah.
Um, so simplicity of programming, but we'll start to see the fruit of that a little bit down the road.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
what is even the next step after this? It's just I guess it activates and see. I totally messed it up. I thought CoinGeek was happening this week for some reason, and then I was getting all geared up to start talking about that, and then I realized it's actually not till the 20th.
Yeah, a little early. It's okay. Again, you look crazy when you're early, but there's nothing wrong with it, right?
If anyone who's
So
ever watched any of these videos or seen me in action will know that like I'm totally dyslexic when it comes to numbers and time. So that's why I'm a
that's
writer and
okay.
not a coder or a developer or anything like that.
Yeah, I my wife always makes fun of me because I'm really bad at like back of the napkin math.
Yeah.
So somebody will give me something real simple, like weights and measures, like grocery store. Like, okay, I bought 3 avocados for X amount each, and then I'm off by like an order of magnitude on how much I thought they were worth. So I'm just fast math's not my thing. I can sit and solve an algebra problem or trigonometry, but having to do simple addition and subtraction on the spot in front of people, no good. So, but back to Genesis.
Yes.
After Genesis, I believe I've actually seen a little bit of hinting both ways, and frankly, a group of miners can agree to do a mutual upgrade and that kind of thing in the future, in theory. And we do know that there are things like Terranode in the pipeline. We don't know when. They've been a little bit vague about how long that'll be, but something like Terranode's been under development for about 2 years.
Mm.
Used to be in association with Nchain and what is that company called? They're gone. They don't do anything anymore. But the other guy that was developing it was friends with Amaury Sachet.
Ah,
So
yeah. Right.
uh, Johannes Vermeerel is his name, but I forget the name of his company.
Somewhere out
Uh,
there is probably an article with my name on it that talks about all of this too.
Could be. I think he was very loosely connected to nChain a few years ago. I think they were probably funding some of the research, but now it's been insourced over at nChain, and Terranode will be the next big node implementation we see. It may or may not be a consensus thing, so there may not have to be a hard fork
is his name,
in order to implement it. But
Somewhere
the
out there is
interesting thing,
probably an article.
I can hear the echo now.
Yeah, that talks about all of this too.
Could be. There we go.
I was trying to get the chat window in the happening in the corner because you got a little bit of empty screen space there. But
Nice.
yeah,
Okay,
as
I can
always,
watch-
what
I
happens
can
is
watch
nothing works the way you expect it to. So I'm
Of
maybe I just shouldn't do that kind of thing on the fly.
That's okay.
Some
All right,
things
cool.
only really you can only really test them when it's actually live. Like it doesn't
It's
work
true.
if it's just you in your house.
I think it was Donald Rumsfeld said, "You go to war with the army you have, not the army you want." And for better or worse, I think he's right.
Oh yeah,
So-
he's totally right. It's more just like the army I have that I worry about sometimes.
Yeah, everybody.
You know, like if you've got an
So-
army of preschoolers or something, you know, like you probably shouldn't go into battle
Yeah.
unless it's against
Yeah,
the preschoolers.
Raise the white flag. So, anyways, Genesis in theory should be the last implementation that requires consensus in a big way, because it does actually reshuffle a bunch of things. The various opcodes, how they interact with each other. A big one is op return was changed considerably. We had been using op return as a data carrier, a data storage mechanism,
Yeah.
ever since the beginning of BSV splitting, when Steve Shatters pulled some strings, got some miners to shuffle some stuff around, and enabled all kinds of really cool use cases. But op return was not originally used for what we've been using it for. So that's being returned, and some other stuff's getting moved around as well. But the big thing that is going to have to change at some point in the future, and this will be the kind of situation where BTC and BSV are, you know, the boss battle, is the difficulty adjustment. And right now we have a difficulty adjustment that retargets I forget. I think it's an average of 10 blocks. I always get it mixed up because it's based on Digibyte's difficulty algorithm, so then I get it mixed up with their rules, and ours are a little bit different. But basically it retargets much more quickly, whereas BTC's retargets roughly every 2 weeks.
Right. You know,
And that's
I
what
didn't
we
actually know that. I didn't know that BSV had a different adjustment algorithm.
we do, and it's necessary because we're lower hash power.
Is that
if
the BCH difficulty adjustment algorithm?
It is.
Right.
So, and it was botched when it happened too. So, if you recall, this is part of the reason we're a number of days ahead of BTC for the halvening as well. We're quite a bit ahead. So, when BCH split from BTC, Amaury Sachet, there was a little bit of debate among some of the developers as to, okay, how are we going to implement the difficulty adjustment? There were some arguments between people. Amaury Sachet won because he said he knew what he was doing, and
Amaury always
all of a
wins.
sudden there was, it was fast blocks for way too long, and we got way ahead on BCH. So BCH was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of blocks ahead of BTC, which is a problem. And then we obviously just adopted that because we split from BCH in November of 2018, but we both share a dynamically adjusted difficulty adjustment. So I don't remember if it's every 10 blocks. I wish I knew exactly what the math was, but it's a very short amount of time. It's hours, not days.
I thought it was every 10 hours or something. Is it?
Well, there are a bunch of
don't wanna say too
variations of
much
the
'cause I don't know
algo,
what
which
I'm
is why I
talking about.
forget which one it is. Some people retarget after every block.
Right.
Digibyte, for example, has like 15-second block times. So for them to do 10 blocks is very different than BSV doing it. So anyways, the retarget is quicker, making it that a lower hash power coin can survive. because, if somebody throws a bunch of hash at BSV, it will just, it'll raise the difficulty adjustment quickly rather than allowing them to just jam out a bunch of fast blocks again, because of the long tail on the DA. But that is one of those things that when we actually fight for SHA-256, when it is BTC versus BSV, that will need to be removed. We'll need to have the same difficulty adjustment as BTC, and we'll need to slug it out in the real world, remove replay protection, the whole thing. And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but that would certainly be an interesting conversation to listen to the higher level engineer guys talk about.
Yeah, here I am struggling to get OBS live streaming properly, and then there's other people who've got like billions of dollars at stake.
Yeah.
So for anyone out there developing BTC, like don't ever put me anywhere near your hard fork or your live code.
Deal.
That's my professional advice to you for today.
Absolutely. So all that to say, there will likely be one more hard fork, and it would be to clean up some of the issues there with the difficulty adjustment that we just simply can't do right now, given that we are not even competitive for the most hash power in the network yet. But
yeah,
we will get there.
Yeah, so we're still seeing a fair bit of trolling, online. I mean, most of it is totally nonsensical, or it's arguments that are a year old or something like that. But do you think that sometimes, like, the critics have some valid points?
That's a good question. I mean, not to say that there are no valid points. I mean, a lot of the stuff, I mean, we actually share a fair bit of code and game theory and everything else with BTC and BCH.
Yeah.
I would certainly love to be, 50 exahash instead of 4. So there are things like that, there are things that would be better if they were done a little bit differently. I had a conversation the other day. Somebody brought up and said, man, the Genesis implementation seems to be mostly developed in private. Why isn't it open source during the development phase like every other implementation is? And the response to that, my response to it is, who do you want working on BSV that isn't? And that's a different way to look at it. But there could be some value, like maybe there's some ace out there who would be adding to the code in such a way that is super beneficial. I had a brief back and forth with Derek Moore on Twitter. I think it was yesterday. It might have been overnight, sometime in the last 2 days. And he implied that maybe he issued a pull request or something and cleaned up the code a little bit on Genesis. I don't know. He didn't say that, but it was kind of the gist that I got with how he communicated with me.
Right.
But that's, I think, a perfect example of, if somebody cares, they know who to reach out to. Like, nChain has a CTO. The lead developer is Daniel Connolly. The CTO is Steve Shatters. These are people that are easy to connect with. And if someone like Derek Moore discovers something in the protocol that he thinks should be different, he has the ability to reach out. It's different than if you were doing on BCH or BTC, where you'd simply do a pull request, ask, Omori Sachet or Luke Dash Jr. or whoever for permission. And, it is what it is. So things are
Kurt,
different.
Decentralization is our strength.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure is. It's done us real well the last 11 years.
Yes.
So, that kind of thing, I don't know. Is it better? I think we'll find out in another 5 years. Like, BSV is still pretty new comparatively from like a development and a mindset perspective. So, after they've really had some time to really get out there and compete, then maybe we can say, okay, maybe we should have done this, or maybe Litecoin had it right by not doing any development for the last 2 years.
So man, if that happens, then I know the world is truly upside down.
Yes.
Get in a time machine, come back into the future, and then everyone's like, what's your Litecoin address? And you're like, oh God, what reality have I entered here?
Yeah, no. Litecoin, it's hard for me to say what the biggest scam in the cryptocurrency space is, but Litecoin's up there in the running, in my opinion.
It should have been clear right from the start from the name. It's spelled Lite. Like
Right.
nothing that's spelled Lite is like any quality whatsoever.
Yeah, no, it's all problems.
By the
So,
way,
or it could have been clear. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, go on. I was going to say Degan just popped into the chat room and he said that BSV retargets every 12 hours rather than a certain number of
Ah,
blocks. I knew it was a really short time, like less than a day, because I can tell you
yeah.
for a fact that out there is an article with my name on it that discusses this, and I can't
It's
remember anything I ever write.
I knew it was short. I was in the same boat though. Like, what is it again? So
And
it's too many coins doing too many things and hard to keep up with.
there's another message here that says, "Kurt, it's getting late. Go to bed now."
Ooh, do I look that tired?
Not to me. I look more tired because I just woke up. What time is it over there?
It's 6:30. Well, it's 6:24 in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
so not bad. I granted don't get a whole lot of sleep since Ronan's been born, but I'm relatively well rested.
Yeah, I promised I wouldn't get too deep into the dad talk this time because we do that every other time we come on live. But
That's fair.
yeah. So I mean, now that I'm live streaming, I'm not actually watching the countdown clock anymore. So like, do we have Genesis yet?
We
Canadian.
no,
Oh,
we shouldn't.
oh,
We should
Rita's
not
Rita
yet.
said
Hey,
9 blocks to go.
9 to go. Yeah, it's getting close. They've been coming fast too. So we've got
Hmm.
2. That's like a 6 minute. They've been between like 2 and 8 minutes for the last many blocks in a row here.
Really?
Interesting. Yeah, and it's people actually playing with the difficulty adjustment. You can kind of rev the engine a little bit. The last 3 blocks in a row are also tall mining, by the way, which is
Right.
a Calvin Air outfit. Um,
Yep, that is. Are we allowed to say that?
I, I mean, it's public
Yeah.
info.
I just noticed that they never actually say it in public. You know, like it's always tar mining.
I I don't know. I think it's funny how people talk about uh, exactly that. That like, you know, Calvin's the biggest guy on the network. Like that's some kind of a problem. It's like,
Yeah.
well, yes, there's a billionaire who cares enough to put his own money into something that is actually pretty risky and on paper would be really difficult to finance if he wasn't self-financing. So I'm very grateful for Calvin. And like, what is he gonna? He's gonna sabotage his own blockchain. Like, what are we saying here? He's a guy that is putting his money where his mouth is,
Yeah.
and we're criticizing him for this. Like, criticize him for whatever else. Maybe you don't like his haircut or the fact that he wakeboards or something. But
Yeah.
he's a guy that's putting his money where his mouth is, and that's what matters to me.
I think
But
Craig and
I
Calvin,
did notice.
they're kind of
Go ahead.
easy targets. You know, like
Well,
there's actually
sure.
nothing wrong with them, but like just from the outside, there's a lot you could have a shot at, you know, if you wanted to,
Sure.
and no one's gonna bother correcting you because you're gonna get more laughs just by like having a shot, and
Yeah.
that's why it is just the group thing that you see on Twitter.
Well, they're both adversarial.
Yeah,
Like Calvin and Craig are both very happy to give you the finger or call you an idiot, and that's not the kind of decorum that people are used to in the kumbaya crypto space. But uh, it's funny because more and more I keep saying they are. I don't want to say less significant because it's not really fair, but there's more competition coming into the space, both in a mining standpoint and a development standpoint, which is what they're primarily thought of as cornerstones of. But if you look at the business people in the space, like we have so many more people over even just the last 6 months. We've had the launch of Twetch went from something that was, the original hashtag was Twetch isn't real, and now and now it's this powerhouse of social media that's growing super rapidly, and there's a bunch of brilliant people that are involved, both with the company and then also using the platform to promote their new ideas. And we've seen, well, just a bunch of other people. Like we've seen HandCash come out with 2.0, and now we've seen the HandCash Connect. It's going to be a huge thing. So like these are big pieces of the puzzle that are going to change things very fundamentally, to the point where, in a couple of years, I don't think Craig and Calvin will be spoken about very much, because it'll be much more like they're infrastructure people, and just like I don't know who the guy is that's in control of the plumbing or the water department in my city, but I may know I do know the most popular guy in town, and it's the guy that has like the best bar or the best pizza place or something, right? and
Yeah.
and that's it's going to transition to that, where people will be like, oh yeah, Craig Wright used to talk a lot and I haven't thought about him in a while, but I do use BSV for my favorite social media and my banking and my everything else. So
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
true.
where we're going.
By the way, Degan has just corrected himself. He said, yeah, correction. The 12-hour difficulty adjustment. He said that's only in emergencies and was turned off before BSV. It's a moving average window of 144 blocks in BSV. See, there you go.
Okay.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, reading it sounds right, but if I was on Jeopardy or something, I would have failed.
Wouldn't that be the most embarrassing thing? Like Bitcoin Jeopardy. Like suddenly we have to
Right.
answer questions and we don't have a browser and we don't have our notes in front of us.
Right. Like, I'm not actually good at this. Don't tell anybody.
This is a bit similar to that situation, because I'm terrified of opening a browser window just in case it like pops up on the live stream.
I hear you.
Yeah. So, yeah, he said that's still roughly 1 day moving window average for difficulty adjustment.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
Makes sense.
Thanks a lot for doing that research, Dagan. Would you like a job as our researcher here?
Would be helpful.
Yeah.
I think he runs the London BSV meetup, I believe.
Yes, I believe he does.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw. I went to join the meetup for CoinGeek, and I am deep into the waiting list, so I may not even be able to make it to the meetup, unfortunately. But I think I saw his name. He's the organizer there.
Right. Have you been to London before?
I've not. This will be my first time.
I've managed to go like 4 or 5 decades of my life now, and I've never been to London.
Oh, geez. Wow.
Yeah.
I was considered you very well traveled.
I am, just not in that part of the world. Well, it's just that I tend to move to places and then just not leave. So if I move to London, I know that I would never leave. So I thought I'll save that one till last, and then it's getting later and later, and it may literally be the last.
Well, it's I guess it's better than staying in one place for too long. I was unfortunately born in the same hospital my father was born in, so I'm not making it very far at all.
I don't know if my father was even born in a hospital.
Interesting.
No, that's true. He was. I think. I've never seen the birth certificate.
Well, time for a research project. I don't know where my grandfather was born. I think my grandfather was born as a refugee, a World War II refugee in Chicago. So
right,
he was a German escapee. So
now that's an interesting story.
It is an interesting story. I'm not sure how much of it's true though. He was a bit of a storyteller. So I've done some serious genealogical research, and I've gotten to a point where I'm not sure what I can prove or what I can't. So that I'm not sure if like the Christmas dinner table stories about how he escaped Nazi Germany actually happened or not. So right. I'm cautious with the stories.
Well, my grandfather was the opposite. He came over to Australia in the 1920s, and they said that, and he was just a simple farmer tending his crops, and then we finally got to meet his relatives over in England, or at least my parents did in the about 5 or 10 years ago. And they said, why did he ever leave to come to Australia? And I think they said, "Oh, I thought everyone knew that. He was running from the coppers." I'm like, okay,
Yeah. Classic Australian story, right?
that's true. You know, like I have the convict heritage, but it's like 150 years later than everyone else.
Right. That's pretty funny.
So I'm just checking the chat just to see if anyone else is like discussing anything pertinent to the occasion that we're here for, which
Sure.
is the Genesis upgrade. How many blocks have we got to go, guys?
Looks like I have whatsonchain.com open. It says there are 8 blocks left.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible to display the coin dance BSV upgrade page? You know what? I actually did do that yesterday, and I had the little countdown clock working in the window, and it was all working fine. But since I woke up this morning, I've not been able to get that page working on CoinDance. It's got nothing to do with OBS. It's just CoinDance. I tried it in 3 different browsers. I've tried it with all the extensions turned off.
It's not loading. I've had it all day. I had the same thing. It worked fine yesterday, and it's giving you the swirly, like I'm thinking face.
Oh, good. It's not just me.
Yeah.
Starting to.
Yeah, I think it's actually them. They're not serving it well.
Well, that's fine. What's 7 more blocks?
Yep.
7 more blocks.
Yeah,
Andreas,
CoinDance is saying
what
7.
are you doing
What's
watching?
on
Why
chain
don't you come in the chat and join us? All these people who've said like, let me come on the live stream one day, and they're sitting there in the chat room lurking, and contributing.
Have them jump in. Send it around. Let's have a party.
7 more blocks. You know what I reckon we should do? I think we should, right when it gets down to 1 block, say 5, 4, 3, 2, and then cut the stream.
Yeah, there you go. Right at black. MetaNet
Yes.
down.
6 to go. Wow, they're coming hot and heavy there. It was just like 8, 7, 6.
I've been watching the blocks all day, and what's on chain gives you a little, like a chime every time a block is found.
Right.
So I'm in the middle of my work day, and it's like ding. I'm like, okay, there's another one, and then one comes in 30 seconds. I'm like, oh boy, what's going on? But then for a while, midday, there was about an hour today without a block too, and it was, normally all that's fine. That's not really it's actually pretty common, but um, I was a little concerned because it's fork day. You never know what could happen. What kind of games could be played by some of the enemies out there. So I've been watching very closely today. I got a little nervous when we got to an hour without a block, and then CoinGeek gobbled one up.
All right, well, let's touch on that then. I mean, what you say games that might be played by the enemies. What are some of the potential attack vectors there, apart from the difficulty thing?
Sure. I mean, there's any number of things. Like you could have, playing with the difficulty adjustment. You could have somebody that has a lot of extra hash power, who isn't mining BSV, could be mining it in secret. There's a lot of unknown hash power. If you look at the power wheel there's something like 35% of hash power is unknown. Mm-hmm. Actually, it looks like almost 39% of hash power is unknown on the network. That's a lot of hash power. In all likelihood, some of that is the test nets or the backup nodes and stuff for probably CoinGeek and some of the other people. But it could be any number of predatory people. So something they could be doing is they could have been spending the last 2 weeks or 2 months mining a chain in private and not broadcasting it, but getting it ahead in blocks. If you get it ahead in blocks, and then all of a sudden you push it public with a bunch of hash power, then in theory you could cause the hard fork to jump onto the longer chain and split the network, start playing different games, that kind of thing. Or given with the dynamic difficulty adjustment, like right at the fork, you could push hash power up really quickly, or you could pull it out really quickly and cause the DA to panic and that kind of thing. So all things that are mitigated, pretty easily as long as honest miners are paying attention. But there are some games there. In theory, you could just crank a bunch of hash, similarly to what happened in the hash war, when all of a sudden Roger Ver and Jihan Wu had 5 times as much hash power each, and where'd that come from, and forced a bunch of new consensus rules in that nobody had discussed before, and blah blah blah. Like it's an underhanded move. Like, it's conceivable that some of those things could happen.
But
I don't think it's likely, but
they got the prize, Kurt. They got the Bitcoin Cash ticker symbol.
yeah, they won.
Yeah. 3 cheers. So
Yeah,
I just assume that, you know, like if they do see BSV as an actual threat, and I think they do, because, you know, like they devote way too many brain cycles and you know,
yeah.
hours in their day to attacking it, and they needn't do that. If it was really irrelevant, they could just ignore it and it would go away. But no, they have to make that effort. So I just figure that whatever attack or sneaky move they can make, it'll be tried at least. So it's just a matter of
I think,
how good BSV's defenses are.
No, absolutely. There's a lot of I mean, you see it from all over the place. You see guys like Barry Silbert, and you got Fluffy Pony from Monero, and all these people that really shouldn't have a dog in the fight at all. And they're just obsessed with, it's a scam and it's all these things and they can never work, and you fools, you're gonna be destroyed, and it's like, man, you guys are giving a lot of bandwidth to the BSV people. So it's very indicative of how much of a threat we are to the status quo and to those specific chains. You know, there's no reason to talk about Vertcoin or Bitcoin Gold or any of these coins. You know, like Bitcoin Gold fundamentally did many of the same things that they are upset about BSV for. They use the Bitcoin name, and they are a UTXO split of the network, and they have the same Genesis block, and they claim to be the better version of Bitcoin and all these things, but nobody talks about it. It's because they're not a threat.
Does it even exist?
You know, meanwhile,
but it does have a different mining algorithm, though, right? Bitcoin.
It Gold. Does. It is an Equihash coin, so it shares. I don't know who's doing Equihash anymore. Initially, it was Ethereum's mining algo, but they've retooled a couple of times now.
Because I think that's the real worry, right? It's, you know, they're gonna it's not they're gonna take mind share, it's that they're gonna take hashing power away.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, so BSV is a greater existential threat for that reason. But if it was just that, you know, I can't tell you how many times somebody's shown me that chart. Like, here's you down there. You're the 1% hash rate chain.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know why you're worried about me then.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, like I don't worry about, you know, the 1%. Well, except when it's like, you know, the billionaire 1% that everyone's talking about. I worry about them a lot. But you know, if it's just the 1% of people who don't have any power or money, you know, nobody cares, literally. So
precisely.
Ignore us and we will go away. Promise.
Yep. No, I've gotten tired of it because it really feels like they're reading off of a script.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, they literally are.
Well, they are, but I've defaulted quite a bit more. Like, I'll give somebody, you know, a retort or two, but once we get down the rabbit hole of like, okay, here comes thing out of the hat number 3. It's like, you know what? You're right. There's no way I could possibly win. You have nothing to fear. You know, they're okay, like, you know, acting like I'm the prick. It's like, come on, man. And I know I'm just arguing with Greg Maxwell on the other side of the screen.
One of the human Sybil attack, the many Greg Maxwells out there. I mean, I'd be quite honored if I found myself talking to a Maxwell sock account, because like, surely he can't be like, maybe he's entered some, you know, like alternate quantum reality, and there's like Dr. Manhattan. There's actually 50 of him. And he's everywhere. Yeah. They're not just sock accounts; they are all actually Greg.
You know, it's funny. Greg actually, I actually had a debate with Greg on Reddit as Greg, like his null C official Reddit account,
right?
And I got sucked in by a character named Zectro, who many people have also theorized is Greg Maxwell. And he quoted, I can't remember what it was. He quoted something I said, called me a retard or a shit for brains or whatever he said. And here's what this idiot said, and tagged me. So I come in, give a very calm, short retort. And again, like, I love this stuff. Like, I live for rhetorical debate. So I give it back to Zectro. Zectro's blah, blah, blah. And then I said something about Greg. Like, I implied that he was Greg. 2 minutes later, Greg Maxwell paragraph response. I'm like, oh, come on. Like, you cannot be this insecure.
Oh yes, people can always be this insecure.
Yeah, I picture him in his sweaty Hawaiian shirt, and just, oh, it was hilarious. And he was just spitting mad too. I'm not that influential. I'm only one. I don't even work for Blockstream anymore. I'm not even involved in I'm not in control of BTC. Blah 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 blah. Like, that's all I was saying, Greg. You're not in charge of anything. And I just left it. I'm sure.
I've never
I'm
actually
sure he's
interacted
looking for
with
ways
Greg
to literally kill
knowingly.
me.
Oh, he might. Yeah. Be careful out there, because it may not look like Greg when it comes. It could be.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It could be Greg in a different body that day.
Terrible.
It's like that show Altered Carbon. Like he can actually change bodies.
Yeah. No thanks. It's fine. I'll choke him out in any form he arrives.
That's right. Yes, you know jujitsu.
I do know jujitsu.
Mm-hmm.
We actually, I got a couple of threats. We did the Chicago BSV meetup on Saturday, and the Bitcoin Association put out a sponsored tweet like, "Hey, go to Chicago for the big, whatever." And some guy, a local Chicago BTC cartoon, again, probably Greg, says, we're gonna chase you out of this city. And I was like, oh, come and get it, man. See at 4. This is the bar.
Like, maybe I've seen too many old movies, but when someone says like, I'm gonna chase you out of the city and they're in Chicago, I would take that pretty seriously.
Yeah. Chicago certainly has its reputation, but we were in a pretty gentrified bar in West Loop, so a lot of guys with man buns. Not the kind of crowd where you're,
buns. Apologies, apologies to anyone out there who actually has a man bun, but like I really love those things.
Yeah. So when I get threats from Twitter, I always call them out. Like, tell you what, you pick the time, the place, the rule set. I'll show up. Let's put up a Bitcoin or something for it. This will be great. No show. They never show up.
Damn it. So I'm just checking CoinDance again, and like, am I refreshing the right way? Because it still says 6 more blocks have to be mined here. We could actually be here for another hour before it happens.
This could be an hour. Yeah, it looks like
it says page will refresh automatically.
CoinDance is saying 6, and What's on Chain is saying 7. I don't know why they're behind. Like,
oh my god, it's fucked. It's out of sync.
Yeah. One's mining BitcoinSV cash.
Well, as dumb as that idea sounds, that's kind of what it was like, December 2018 when all the exchanges were doing things like BCH, ABC, and BCH SV. Some of them still do, I think. It's insane.
Yeah, there's a few that still do BCH SV for sure.
Yeah.
I've seen it recently.
I think there might even be one I use that still does that.
Uh-oh.
What do we got?
Are they safe? Are they safe with the Genesis upgrade, the exchange that you're using?
Oh yeah.
If they haven't changed the ticker, I'd be a little concerned about their node.
No, I don't keep any coins on exchanges at all. Like I said, I learned that lesson 2 times. Once with Mt. Gox.
Yeah, what?
I learned that lesson twice.
Where was the second one?
I don't want to say.
Did you get Bitfinexed? What happened?
No. It's I didn't. Both times, I didn't lose that much, but at some future point, if the amount was worth $1 million or something, I might cry. But then again, I kind of laughed it off a long time ago.
Yeah, you kind of have to wash your hands of it. I had that conversation. I actually lost $10,000 worth of Bitcoin the week I started dating Natalie, who became my wife. And we talked about it the other day, and she's like, it's funny. You told, I could tell you were really upset, but didn't really want to explain it to me at the time. And she's like, and now seeing, how much you talk about Bitcoin and everything else, now that I actually know you and thinking back, would we have been like retired at this point? And you know what? I don't want to talk about it. We're not talking about it here.
Wow,
So
so you
yeah,
you
it's
actually met the woman that became your wife, and you were talking about Bitcoin in the early stages of the relationship.
yeah,
I,
pretty early.
I think we may have had
So
this conversation before. Not sure.
it's possible. We met at the gym. So my wife was an MMA fighter.
Hmm.
She was training, super talented kickboxer. She's just excellent at Muay Thai kickboxing. And I was a jujitsu, not actually, I wasn't coaching at the time. I was a sparring partner with the MMA team for the heavyweights. And we met, and she was like, I got this fight coming up in 2 months or something, coming up pretty quick. And I was like, oh, cool. Did you wrestle? Like, I've seen her kickbox. And I asked her what her grappling experience was. And she said, like none, basically. The answer was essentially zero.
Hmm.
And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Who's coaching this camp? So I went and yelled at her coach, was like, man, you can't throw her in the cage if she doesn't know how to grapple. And he's just like, well, you teach her. So I was like, you know what? I will. And we were dating right after her.
So you
She
taught
won
her
the
how to
fight.
grapple. That's,
She
that's so
was she
gentlemanly
won the
of you.
fight so she got taken down. She was in half guard on the bottom, and she did the sweep that I taught her from the bottom that we drilled probably 1,000 times. And so she won the fight with the move that we drilled together.
Oh,
And the rest is history.
that's so romantic, man. So
Indeed.
this is just a signal that, like, if you're a core coiner and you want to kick Kurt's ass, you're like, this is what's going to happen to you if you go to his house. The whole family's going to pile on.
True. No, we are a fight for fun family, let me tell you. So before Ronan was here, we were at the gym 6 or 7 days a week for, God, I was 9 years. So I always joke, the scariest people in Chicago call me Coach. So that's your
Wow. Okay. Coach.
So yeah, it's always fun. Always fun to get the Twitter threats.
Yes. Well, someone said five blocks now. I'm still keeping an eye on the chat
Yep.
here.
Yeah, I'm checking it.
Satoshi. I love your one-liners. They're always the best. They're like borderline dad jokes.
Yeah, this is a blessing and a curse, let me tell you. All right, 5 blocks. Well, if Calvin wants to push the gas really hard, we get these 5 blocks done pretty quick too.
Are you suggesting that Kelvin's got like a button that he can use to speed up and slow down BSV there, Kurt? That sounds pretty centralized to me.
You know what? A guy like him has a gas pedal.
Yep.
So yeah, let's see. Well, he's got, what do we got? CoinGeek right now has got like 32.5% of the hash power. So then Tall Mining's got another 6%.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, really, all you have to do, if you can create a substantial raise in the hash power, which anyone could do, let's just say via BTC here, Hypo Yang in theory could double his hash power and push out like 3 blocks in about 10 minutes. So totally possible. So let's say it's Hypo Yang's problem.
Sometimes I wonder if like the only reason coins don't get attacked is because people would have to divert all their hashing power for a couple of hours, and no one really wants to lose that kind of money.
It's true. It is actually true. So this is part of the economics argument, and Craig talks about this quite a bit. Bitcoin isn't protected by technology. It's not protected by software developers or proof of social media or any of that.
Yeah.
It's protected by economics. Like, if you're going to fight a war with me, you might think you're tougher than me, but what you don't know is how long I can go without food and water. And this is the Russian strategy. Like, yeah, we don't have the best technology, but there is no way you can hang out in the cold as long as we can. So
that is true.
Like, invade in the spring, and if you don't have it done by Halloween, you lose. So that's proof of work. That's how the
Finland.
real world works.
All right, what do we got? 3 blocks. 3 blocks to go.
Yeah. I told you, they can come fast.
Yeah, 4 and 3 just went down like dominoes.
Yeah, three blocks in a row by Tall Mining. So
This is actually more exciting than I thought.
yeah, my heart rate just went up.
When Genesis goes live, I'm gonna animate the background on this live stream just so that something happens,
Very cool.
and then the live stream will shut down all by itself.
Yeah, we have to have had a the producer. You have a producer in the background you can yell at, right?
Yeah, I need that. I need one of those fake producers that all those YouTubers have.
Mm-hmm.
A man bun may help in the cold. That is a good point. A man bun may help in the cold, but still a man bun.
Yeah, it's true.
I can think of lots of ways I can stay warm and like not look as good.
Are you a let's see, Craig Mason saying, you and Kurt talk about what we expect to see when the fork happens.
And we kind of already did that at the start, but we can do it again if you want.
Yeah, I think, I mean, plain and simple, to anybody who's new to the stream, ideally nothing happens to the user. So you should be able to send a transaction on your HandCash wallet or Electrum SV or make a twetch on the last block of Quasar, and it should be instantaneous and it'll be valid on the first Genesis block. Yeah. So that it shouldn't change the user experience at all. In all likelihood, I'm willing to bet there's a node somewhere, or there's 3 or 4 or 5 nodes somewhere that just never got the memo, or they're sitting on the network somewhere on some exchange that whoever their technical guy didn't update, and he'll be on a fork that isn't BSV for a few blocks. And that's when BitMEX research is, they've got their paragraph prepared. It's going to come out. They're going to talk about what a bunch of fools we are. We split the network. Nobody knows which one's the real BSV. And it won't matter because everything is fine. So that'll orphan. It'll die off. Anybody that's following that chain, just whatever. Yeah. It'll just dip. It'll dip off. It'll get absorbed. It'll resync, and everything will be fine.
And that's the way it's supposed to work. And of course, everyone on BTC Twitter will start talking as though that's like some huge tragedy.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, Bitcoinist will probably write a feature article about it.
Forks are dangerous. This is why we've been very safe. 6 years of consensus, guys.
What if people keep mining BSV Quasar? Well, I mean, they get forked off the network, obviously. Well, not obviously, I guess, but it's
not necessarily immediately. So let's say there's nothing that breaks consensus. If the next block on a Quasar node is just full of nothing but simple HandCash transactions that don't have any they don't have any op return in them or anything, so no little note. So if everybody in the block just sends money, then a Quasar node will stay in consensus with Genesis, and it will stay in consensus with Genesis until somebody puts an op return transaction in, because op return is treated differently on both. Then it will split and or orphan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's the next question then. Like, how soon are people going to start testing out the new features? Like, how soon are they going to start sending through 10 gigabyte blocks, or they're going to start doing complex math on the op returns and all that kind of thing?
Sure. I would be willing to bet that the miners...
2 blocks.
Two blocks.
2 blocks.
I'd be willing to bet that the miners... we better get all this out soon, man. I'm getting nervous. So the miners
shouldn't
likely
you be out trading or something?
What's that?
Don't you want to be out trading or something? Or are you doing that in the background?
I have that window open. I'm also watching the price action, which is not doing much. It is currently a green candle, but it's not anything crazy.
You're right, it's not. So, it's gone up $1 since I've been awake.
There we go.
I think I'm gonna leave the price chart up on the screen, because it looks better than my backwards logo, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, the logo's forward to me. There we go.
I know. Let's Google for you.
Now we're MSNBC.
All right. Two blocks. 2 blocks. I feel like I should be watching this all the time now.
Yeah, keep it up.
All right. Everyone who's going to leave us and watch the block tick over and whatever happens after that. I mean, there really should be fireworks or an explosion or.
There's got to be. I mean, I'm keeping an eye on stuff. Like we very well could have a split for a couple blocks. It's totally rational.
Mm.
One of the things I was gonna say is that in all likelihood, the miners have a bunch of transactions to fire off. As soon as the block height is reached, they'll probably send to each other a series of transactions. It only takes one, but they'll probably send a block full of transactions that are only valid on Genesis protocol, so that Quasar
Yeah.
dies on that block.
Yeah, I mean that's
So
that's pretty typical, right? I think that's happened with
yes,
forks in the past. You know, non-contentious forks. They'll always do something that's under the new rules.
I mean, you got to make sure. Yeah, you got to make sure it works. So, worst case scenario, like it's totally plausible that there's some kind of, people screw things up. It is possible something goes wrong, but I don't think so. It's the finished audited release has been done for weeks, so it's not like Steve and Daniel are up, screaming at each other, choking. There's 2 blocks left, you fool! What have you done?
I can picture that.
I mean, it could be, but it's probably not over the protocol. So
still 2 blocks. The suspense is killing me.
Yep. How many minutes has it been? It's been 4 minutes since we've had a block.
And my strip at the bottom says like Genesis is here, and here we are like waiting, saying 1 more block, guys, 1 more block. It's still 2 more blocks.
Crazy.
And it is true. Like Tal has mined, like 8 out of the last 9 blocks.
It's that Calvin button I was telling you about.
Come on, hit the last 2 buttons. Get it happening.
All right, man. Yeah, drop it into low gear. Scream it.
See, this is really great content, isn't it? Like 2 guys sitting here watching the ticker. I'm just gonna rely on the chat room to tell me what's happening, because Bitcoin New Year's Eve. Yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Another useless fact: if you own 21,000 BSV, you are 1 in 10,000 on the planet Earth. Thank you, Sir Newton.
If only I had 2100 BSV.
Yeah, I'm accepting donations. Hashtag Kurt on on HandCash. You can also hit me up at kurt@moneybutton.com.
Likewise, BitcoinSVtrain at everywhere, but except HandCash. It's a bit of a sore point. I still don't have my HandCash handle. We're getting there. I've got another one I could use, but like that's just gonna mess things up even more. So I'm gonna stick with the others. I'll use. I got one with CentB the other day. I got MoneyButton, RelayX. I mean, that's good enough.
Yeah,
I like
Kurt,
HandCash.
I am
don't want
Kurt
to say anything
everywhere. I'm Kurt at all paymail options. But
Kurt at all paymail options. 2 more. Still 2 more.
Bitcoin blocks.live not showing us anything yet either.
See, at least when you do a New Year's show, you know exactly when New Year's is gonna come. This is just like the worst of both worlds. It's just like waiting around for something to happen.
It's just how we measure time. We're gonna measure time in blocks. Seconds are irrelevant. They have no value.
I'm looking for signals here. I mean, I'm watching CoinDance. I'm watching CoinGecko for the price, and nothing's happening. It's all just pretty much the same. Just like New Year's Eve. Like everything ticks over, and like everyone's celebrating, and you think nothing changed.
We're not nearly drunk enough, though. I feel like at 10 minutes to midnight, the Ryan Seacrest is already hammered.
Well, it's 10 o'clock in the morning here. It'll be pretty untoward for me to be.
All right, fair enough. It is definitely
I could do it if that would make things more entertaining for everyone. Still 2 more blocks, man. This is horrible. It's just like getting down to the last few minutes of the year, and you're like, and we're about to count down. We're about to drop the ball, and it's just like an hour later. Yep, still waiting. Still waiting for that last 10 seconds.
They can totally take an hour or two. And it's funny, too, because it could be 30 minutes, and then 2 blocks could happen within 20 seconds of each other, too. So It's
Yeah,
one of those Bitcoin
these are all the
things.
things about Bitcoin that I try not to explain to normies who are getting in. I always tell them things like,
Yeah.
the blocks come every 10 minutes, like almost exactly. It's just it's amazing the way the algorithm was designed, to adjust the difficulty so that it always came out roughly 10 minutes. And then suddenly, like it just goes like boom, 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 boom. Oh, look, it just got 6 confirmations all at once.
Like, yeah, that's the user experience.
But
Well, and it's
here,
funny because it's so much more relevant on BTC. Like that kind of thing matters because they're like an unconfirmed transaction is a very dangerous thing on BTC. So, yeah, oh, I just heard a block on
ooh,
what's on chain.
Tile Coinbase text. Mining on behalf of Satoshi Nakamoto.
Ooh,
That sounds momentous, doesn't it?
sure
Check
does.
check Jimmy's tweet. I've already got like 5 windows open here. I'm not checking anymore. Can someone tell me what he said?
Yeah, I have what's on chain open and I can see the Coinbase text. Tal.com on behalf of Satoshi Nakamoto.
Mm-hmm. No Times of London headline about banks.
Not yet.
Am
So
I?
one of these. All right, let's see. The block height.
I feel a bit like that meme, with the guy poking the Bitcoin with a stick, saying, "Go on, do something, do something."
Right, do something.
And at the same time, I
We
don't want
really
it to do
don't.
anything.
We don't want it to do much. We want this to be a lack of momentous.
Exactly. This
Something
is
happening is a bad thing.
this is an ironic New Year's Eve live stream for Bitcoin. Like we know
Right.
nothing's gonna happen. We hope nothing happens, but we're just pretending like it's pretending like it's a celebration. It does say one more block,
All
so
right.
here we go.
Yeah, we're at one more block.
I,
This
I
should
didn't
be
think
the
we were
last.
I didn't think we were gonna make it to the last. Actually, I thought you were gonna have to go and turn over your room to the kid before that happened.
No, 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 no. My wife was very kind to take Ronan into the other room and keep him company.
Oh, that's very good. Your wife's an MMA fighter. Are you sure everything's okay? I just want to make sure because like I don't want you to get your ass kicked when you walk out of this room.
You know what? It happens so much. It our love language is literally violence. So
Oh, that's beautiful, man. That's really beautiful.
yeah, we're very blessed to have each other because it really wouldn't have worked any other way.
It will give me great joy to watch Craig and his POW, that's proof of work, destroy all the haters out there. Yes, it will. Anyone
Yeah,
nervous? No, I'm not nervous. I'm,
I'm excited.
I'm the opposite of nervous. Like, I'd actually like to be a little bit more excited than I am.
Yeah, we gotta come up with a better. I wonder if any of these people are gonna have like a graphic, like if CoinDance or What's on Chain or Bitcoin Blocks Live or whatever it is, like little fireworks show, something, some kind of little GIF
I,
animation.
I got a few things that I can do here. They probably won't work because that's the way live streams go. But, nah. Anyone nervous? I'm not nervous. No, everything's gonna be just fine. There's absolutely nothing to worry about. And I have zero authority to make that guarantee, so like make of that what you will.
Yeah, if something goes wrong, I don't even know who to call. So sorry, guys.
If something goes wrong and you read about it on Bitcoinist or News BTC, it probably didn't happen. Is it here? Is it here?
I don't know. No, I didn't hear the What's on Chain chime.
All right, I'm gonna wait for the ding. Just let me know when it dings because I can't hear it from here. Do some fireworks. All right, yeah, I'll do some fireworks. Sure. No, I said I'd animate the screen background when it goes off.
I'm looking forward to it.
Anyway, we could be waiting another hour for this block. So, is there any price activity? No, the price has gone down. So,
All right, and we're wrecked. No, we're still up. It's honestly, it's been between 280 and 285 for days. So,
and even if something does happen, like it's probably not going to happen right after the first block has been mined.
yeah, no.
So, all right,
Uh,
just to clarify here, it says the upgrade will go live as soon as one more block has been mined. Does that mean that one block will be Genesis, or is it the block after this one?
I think the block that is currently being mined is the last quasar block, I believe.
Right.
Where can I see the block
So we
height?
actually have another one after that.
Well, technically, like in a hard fork situation, you definitely want to get a couple blocks deep to know,
Mm,
who, which protocol has the most proof of work and hash power, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah.
And if there is, let's say it's 5% or 10% or 30% of the network is out of consensus, the longer chain needs to orphan them too. Like technically, we're in a hash war at that point. So
Technically.
that's saying it's done, is a little bit like I would personally like to see maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks. Uh, kill any nodes that are playing monkey business.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'll stick around for that. I think I'll just go and watch it in my panic room or something.
Yeah, same. That's
It's a
I will have to. You're right. I'll need to let Ronin go to bed because he stole my office.
That's true.
And
Yeah. Like, so the deal is like your office turns into a nursery at a certain time of night. Is that right?
correct.
That used to happen to me in the daytime. Like I had to share my office in the daytime with a baby. I was like literally writing articles with one hand and like holding the milk bottle with the other, just off to the side.
Yeah. I mean I do that quite a bit. Like he sleeps really well in his car seat. So I put him in the car seat in the hallway, rock him. He goes out. He's right outside my door, and he'll sleep for maybe an hour, and then he wakes back up, hangs out on my lap. I'm very lucky to primarily work at home, so that works well enough that way.
There's a bit of off topic happening in the chat room there now. I don't know what to make of it, so I'm just gonna ignore that for now. Has anyone got any updates on BSV? Like, is there anything interesting happening on Twitter that we can't see?
It's
Still saying one more black.
good
This is
question.
killing me. This is. Oh, and by the way, any non-Bitcoiners at all who want to like look at this live stream and call us a bunch of autistes and tragics, we know it's lame to be sitting here waiting for the Bitcoin hard fork to tick over. Like
Yep,
that's the
this is
point.
purposeful.
Nah, nothing's happening yet. Still one more block. It's gonna tease
I'm
us.
browsing. All right, Jimmy Wynn says Enchain Global is assembled, ready. They're watching live. They appear to be having actually a cooler party than we are.
I
So
have no doubt whatsoever that they're having a cooler party than we are. I bet they've got a big screen and drinks and
yeah, they're having a good time.
I had to stop that sentence there.
Well, there was a little bit. It was funny. A bunch of people. Steve gave Jimmy a kiss on the cheek, put it up on Twitter, and some people are, hey, who's who here? Like, what are these guys doing? Like, hey,
Oh, come
it's all right.
on.
We're excited.
That's one of the things I like about BSP though. Like there is actually a bit of a party atmosphere going on. Like you never see that in Bitcoin or BSP.
Oh, yeah.
Like okay, there was a picture of like Fluffy Pony and Greg Maxwell on a couch, but yeah, that's about the only one I've ever seen.
Yeah, nobody's having any real fun. They're all insecure about themselves. BSV guys can kiss occasionally. I don't know.
BSV is definitely the most fun blockchain of all of them, including Dash and Zcoin, which are not actually fun at all. They just sound like fun.
Right. No, they sound. I have a lot of altcoiner friends because I've been here a long time, and we were all Bitcoiners at one time or another. And very often, I go on the Dash podcast a couple times a year. They ask me out to talk about Bitcoin stuff, and they're good people, and they think they're having a lot of fun, but
which is the Dash podcast? Which is the father and son team? Do you know that one? I
That
still
one I
always see
don't
them
know.
at conferences.
I'm good friends for a long time now with Joel Valenzuela,
Ah, right.
and he does. Yeah, I think he was Dash Force News, which I think has been renamed now to just Dash News.
Mm-hmm.
But good guy, known him for years. Hop on, talk about master nodes and everything else going on over there, and
Awesome.
yeah, good times.
Well, this is the least fun live stream of all of the least fun live stream in the most fun blockchain. By the way, I'm like I said at the start, I'm doing Google Hangouts and appearing here reversed and in black and white, just so other people could join in this live stream, and nobody joined in. So I'm grateful to have you all in the chat room, but next time I want people actually dropping in. And as soon as I hang this
Yeah,
up, people are gonna say, "I was trying to, but I
right. Like,
couldn't."
oh, I didn't know I could come on. Yeah, come on. Anybody else? Hop on. No pressure.
What if everything short circuits now? Well, then we're screwed. It's probably not gonna
Can
happen.
you hear Ronan screaming in the other room?
I can, yes.
Is that audible? Okay.
Could you hear the delivery guy trying to ring my doorbell before? I was
Yeah, I
ignoring
think
it,
I
and he
did
was
actually.
persistent.
I didn't think anything of it. But
This
yeah, Ronan has discovered his screaming voice, so it is a common occurrence now.
That's his right as a kid whose name is RoninAtlas and whose parents will
Yes.
kick your ass.
His
This
war cry never stops.
this reminds me a bit of the 1999 to 2000 tick over when like everyone was expecting things to stop working because of
Yeah.
the Y2K bug that had been overhyped for the last 15
Oh
years or
yeah.
so before that. Like the company I worked for had a Y2K compliance department. And like they were paying
Nice.
people six-figure salaries just to make sure all of their stuff was Y2K compliant.
Well, I guess it worked.
Well, yeah, it's like this the old "this is a magic rock, it scares away tigers." Like, but there's no tigers around here. See?
Right.
Some of that snowball mic is really hot. Picks up everything. Got to get you some upgrades,
No,
Kurt.
it's true. It's that's the beauty of it. It's a good mic. I need to pad the whole room now.
Yeah, well, I mean that's why
Which
you get a condenser mic. It's so you got an excuse to like stick up the padding and the egg cartons all over the place.
exactly. No, my wife. I actually didn't realize I was losing my office when Ronan was born, but she was like, "Well, of course. What other room would he be in? It's the room right next to our bedroom." I'm like,
But you
"Dear,
timeshare it, don't
I
you? You only lose it at.
broadcast out of there."
Yeah,
It's
I just commandeered this room. I made it so unpleasant and stinky and messy for everyone else that nobody wants to come in here anymore.
yeah, we're building out my base. We have an unfinished basement, plenty of space, but really dysfunctional right now. But it has been insulated, and we've put up some studs. It'll be a little while, but I will have a new space eventually. Sometime in 2020, I imagine.
Well, see, that's the strategy. Like you weren't fixing the basement quickly enough, so Ronan got moved into your studio at certain times of the day.
Exactly. No
So
pressure.
I know Kurt never appears angry on video. He's always smiling. So like I really hope he doesn't have his wife standing there in the doorway saying like, "Come on."
No, she's fine. She would text me actually. We're good.
Right. So we're still
No,
waiting for that last block, are we? God damn it.
yeah, of course. No, it's that last block is going to be an hour.
Yeah. So in when Y2K clicked over, I was in Toronto. So like that's right at the end of the world to get the time clicking over. And I
Sure.
was sitting there at my desk in the morning, and I was watching the live video and said, "Oh, it's New Year in Sydney," and I thought, "Ah, okay, well I guess Y2K is not a thing then, because it's an hour after and nothing happened." And that's
Yeah,
true,
sure.
nothing happened.
Yeah, at least you know.
I don't think I ever trusted anything I read after Y2K. That was like that was like the moment for me where I just stopped believing everything just because I read it, in print
Yeah.
or on the internet.
Yeah, that's when you realize everyone's just a alarmist.
There were so many experts told us that like because they were experts and they knew COBOL and I didn't, that like it was. I didn't really understand the depth of the problem.
You know, there you have it.
So anyway, we're still waiting for that last block. I don't. I mean, is it? It'd be kind of. It'd be kind of lame if we shut it off here, wouldn't it? But it's also kind of lame just sitting here for an hour waiting for it to happen.
I mean, it's got to be any moment now.
You wonder if they've dialed back the hash. Yeah, maybe they did. Because
Yeah, yeah.
I swear
Calvin's
there's
watching. He heard me saying he could just get it done immediately. He's like, you know what, Kurt? You talk a lot.
because like the last blocks, I guess there was like a 14-minute break between one there, so it could be a little bit longer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going to go right up to the line. I thought we were going to get out of here before then, but then it just sort of happened. I mean, it raced to the finish line and then just.
It's those. All right, it's those fast blocks.
Isn't that
Got
called?
Mr. Super Tonical here saying he'll let me borrow the Yeti once. I would like to try the Blue Yeti, which is the premium version of this guy.
Uh huh. Those microphones were really flashy looking, aren't they?
It's like chrome. It's reflective. So I think it's pretty cool.
This what do they call it? Is it Zeno's paradox, where you like the number keeps halving and halving and halving so that you never actually get to the finish line? I think it's something like that. That's what it feels like waiting for this last damn block to mine.
I've never heard that.
I could be
I've
totally
never heard
wrong.
that. You could be totally right. Actually, I'm not sure, but
It's more likely that I'm wrong, but we'll see. When I keep saying that, so that the few times when I am right, I'm always pleasantly surprised.
yeah, it's refreshing. It's refreshing when I don't screw everything up.
Well, I mean, I guess we should be happy that it's the absence of nothing, absence of bad things happening, that we should be celebrating.
It's the old the Chinese curse of may you live in interesting times.
Yeah. So does anyone out there actually mine BSV like as a solo miner, or is it all done by large operations now?
No, I think there are quite a bit. I know that some
cool.
of that unknown hash. I know a couple people that are mining with, and not even small. If you were to see these places in real life, you'd be like, "Holy cow, this is a small mining operation." But yeah, there are some what appear to be large in person and look very serious and industrial, but are not even large enough to register outside of that unknown gray zone because their hash power is small compared to some of what's going on in China and Eastern Europe.
Right. Yeah. Samuel asks, is it possible to do solar mining with one GPU? Like, no,
No,
you absolutely can't do that. But I was just
no,
wondering if someone with like an ASIC that was a fairly recent model could still mine BSV.
yeah.
Like they
I mean,
can. I
you
just don't know if they
could.
do.
It's 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 a it's a math game, just like everything else. So in Bitcoin, the the network wants to be mined on the most efficient path to victory. So if you only have a very small amount of hash, it's very unlikely that you will find a block ever. So you could sit and mine. In theory, you could mine forever and never get a block based on what the difficulty is. You know, maybe it'll be every year or two or three. Maybe you find a block before you go obsolete, basically. But it just doesn't make any sense because you can join a pool and you just get your fraction of the pool minus fees, and it is what it is. But mining is not really something that's super profitable to do on a low level either. Like you're going to end up paying $1,000 minimum for a pretty basic ASIC miner, and then that $1,000 may not ever pay itself off. So you could have just bought $1,000 worth of BSV
Yeah.
and you're good. Mining
Well,
is cool,
these are the many
but
reasons I never got into mining.
it, I'd love to get into mining. I've always just wanted to participate in governance and figure out ways to do other services. And it's funny because people always laughed at me when I was like, no, I want to build a light wallet that does all these different things, and I'll run my own mining operation that'll serve it, and that'll be great. And people just tell me, oh, why would you ever do that? And now it's what's actually happening, because turns out I actually understood Bitcoin even when I didn't know anybody else who did. But eventually we will get there.
Yeah,
And,
well, I mean, if
I
you
may
really
or
want
may
to
not
participate,
ever mine.
yeah, you should just go back to BTC and like get one of those Casa Hodl, I don't Lightning Network nodes. Like
Yeah.
people actually
Yeah.
pay money so that they can run a second layer protocol on BTC. Like I don't know. It must really mean a lot to them to do that, because like if they have to invest in more hardware, maybe they feel like they're doing something useful, like they're mining, but it's like mining for people who can't be miners.
Basically. Well, and actually in Lightning Network, you kind of are. Like if you're staking Bitcoins on your Lightning channel and people can use you for liquidity, then you are helping the Lightning Network with your $30 worth of hardware that you paid $300 for.
And you're also a money transmitter, so just remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, of course, they're all properly licensed and insured for such things.
Of course, yes. Yeah, insured too, because like you wouldn't want to lose all of those Lightning channels that you're keeping for people, would you?
No, can't do that.
Everyone's right, man. This is the longest block in Bitcoin history. It's still coming. Maybe it is 10 gigabytes or something. That's why it's gonna take so long.
If that's the case, we're going to be on here for a long, long time.
We've already been here for an hour and a half, and I was about to pull a plug, to be honest. So, but since we do have people watching, and it does give it a sense of occasion.
We get 113 people watching live. That's not bad at all.
113, wow. Now, what does that say? Now I see the word mining is very wrong. Using this word implies people run the software to create new coins. Yeah, so we're technically okay. Lightning Network is not mining.
Yeah.
We're
being facetious.
We're totally okay with that explanation. Like, we don't want to think of the Lightning Network as being anything useful at all. If you're running a Lightning node, like why? You just anyway.
Yeah. Well, there's not much you can do with it, anyways. I think you can buy a hat from Samson Mao on the Blockstream store, or I think you can do travel by bit.
I think that's how maybe. Samson Mao makes all his income, is just by selling hats.
Yeah, I think so too.
Still waiting for that last block. Oh god, the network has stopped. It's chain death. It's actually happening. Chain death is real.
This just in, yeah.
But yeah, technically, this is, like you said, this is the last quasar block, so it's not supposed to be very big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, come on, guys.
All right, well, come
Bitcoin.
on. Kurt's got to go. There you go. I'm giving it the animation anyway, just so that I think you can't see that where you are. People watching it can.
I'll pull over onto YouTube here.
That's my celebration. It was going to be for after Genesis activates, but I don't think Genesis is going to activate. Everyone, go off, enjoy yourselves. Kurt's got an anxious baby, and from what I hear, a fairly aggressive wife waiting in the next room. And she's going to speak the language of their relationship, which is literally violence, as he said.
Combat. Our vows were combat on the altar.
Oh, that's pretty cool, actually.
We had a good time.
I hope you wore the appropriate costumes.
You know what? We dressed like civilized people for one of the only times in our lives.
Oh, good. All right, well, we're going to sign off, guys. It's been great having you all here. Thanks, everyone, for participating in the chat. Many thanks to Kurt for being such a sport and being the other guy. Watching me mess everything up on Google Hangouts. I can't use Google Hangouts. I'm a Skype guy. What can I say? Best wishes for the baby. Why? Why stop? Well, we gotta go. Kurt's got to give up his studio. Okay, we're
Yeah,
we're on limited time
unfortunately,
here.
I'd be up all night, guys. I'm a guy that would do 8 o'clock espressos and live chat all night. But my wife and my child, this is my baby's bedroom
Yeah.
now after dark. So I unfortunately have to go. But John, as always, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it very much.
What's gonna happen? Like as soon as I hit stop, it's gonna tick
actually,
over.
I just heard it.
Did it?
I just heard it. Yeah, all right, let's go back. Let's look.
I'm still not getting anything on CoinDance.
I heard the beep. I got the beep on what's on chain.
Huh.
Yeah, 40 seconds. 40 seconds ago.
Really?
Tall mining
It happened.
again.
Oh, thank God. Yes. No, it's on CoinDance too. The new Bitcoin SV network rules have now been activated. We're now just waiting for the first new block to be mined. All right, we're definitely not waiting for the first Genesis block. That would be excruciating.
All right, do the fireworks again, and then I got to sign off.
We got them. It's all happening. It even matches your purple background there. Yeah,
it's back there. Oh, I wanted to ask, how do you feel about the purple background and stuff? This is all a little bit new.
I think it's great.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right.
It's awesome. Nobody else uses purple, so I think you should run for it. Run with it. All right. It's getting late. We've been here like 1 hour and 30 minutes. We both need a bathroom break. Ronin needs his room. You need your sleep. And we also need to go and check out what's actually happening on Genesis instead of trying to talk about it without having a clue like we're doing now. So, all right. Thanks a lot, everyone. And we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.